Well, winter time has arrived. As you can see, I'm bundled up. Look like I'm sponsored by Carhartt. It's about 31 degrees outside, and we're here in the shop, kind of a open air shop, no insulation, so it's pretty chilly. We got about 3 inches of snow on the ground, but today we're going to cut out this design for a friend. He's a spur and bit maker friend of mine, and he approached me, saw the YouTube video, and wanted to know if I could make him a sign. So we worked out a little design here. It's got the state of Texas outline, his logo, business logo, the 3 crosses on the hill, and a few little accent marks here. This should be a pretty straightforward cut. Shouldn't take very long. I've got my hair dryer here because the metal is so cold. I had to warm it up and warm the vinyl up so it would stick. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my decal, and then we'll get it marked off and get to cutting before it gets too cold. He was not very happy with me when he saw the color of vinyl I picked for him. Told him that this would be exactly what he needed, and he was not happy. As we said earlier, this all gets burned up. Most of it gets burned up in the cutting process, so not a big deal. He'll never see it. Well, like before, it doesn't look like much right now. Something I have discovered is that this vinyl is very temperamental in this cold weather. It really, once you put any heat on it, it really pulls back a lot. And that gave me a little bit of difficulty, but I think it'll be all right. It's never very pretty at this point, especially with all the burnt vinyl on it. But this is just one step in the cutting out process and cleaning it up and everything. So I'm gonna get it knocked out of here and see what needs to be done, and we'll take it, get all the vinyl off, and move to the next step. We're back in the shop this morning. Kind of froze out last night after the sun went down. Temperatures dropped into the teens and no fun working, but today's a new day, fresh. It's 38 degrees now, warming up quite nice. But here's what we left off with last night, and like I said, it's rough, and on the back we got this slag. Some people call it dross. I'm going to show you how to get this off. Kind of my plan is I always start getting the slag off, and I use a grit or flat disc on an angle grinder, and then I'll work along my edges and kind of true my edges up here. And once I see that, I may go in here with a narrow belt sander and smooth that up and wipe off the vinyl residue with some lacquer thinner, and then it'll be ready for paint. Probably on this one, I'm going to do some galvanized back to really show the lettering and whatnot. But let's get started with this angle grinder and flap disc and see if we can make this just a little bit prettier. As you can see here, we've got most of the slag and dross off of it. I used 2 different grinders. I had one with a 60 grit flat disc, and then another one with a 120. I haven't worked on the back side yet, but you can see how much better. I'll give you some white here to see some contrast. You can see how much better this all is starting to look. It is a lot of work. not something you're gonna do assembly line, but just for crafting, it's a pretty neat activity. I'm gonna go ahead and finish grinding out the front. Obviously, I'm gonna use the 120 on the front. It's a little bit softer on this and it's not gonna scratch the front up. Then I'll smooth it down with the sander, and we'll go to that step in just a minute. So now that we've got all the dross off of it on both sides and kind of smoothed up around the perimeter, we're going to take a little belt sander, I think it's a 1/2 inch belt sander, and we're going to go over all of these, go on the interior of all of these areas that we can, and do some final finishing up. And then after that, the last step will be take a Dremel tool and smooth up some of the lettering on the inside, and then it'll be ready for paint and we'll be done. So let's see if we can smooth some of this up. So we're back in the shop and we're doing the last step of building this sign, and what we're using is a Dremel tool with aluminum oxide tip on it. I buy these like $15 a box, and there's like 100 pieces in them, various aggressiveness in the grit. You'll go through a lot of these, but it's really the only way that I found that you can get into these interior letters and knock off some of the dross that's fell in between. So we're going to get this knocked out and go to the paint station. So we've got our design all painted and finished out, and then this is just a piece of galvalume or galvanized metal. I believe it's 24 gauge. All I did is trace around it, cut it out with the plasma, and smooth the edges. And then we got our Wonder Glue here, E6000. We're going to glue around the perimeter of this and let it set for both sides. Obviously glue the back side and set it together, let it firm up, and then we will actually mount it to a sign that the customer provided. So stay tuned. Okay, we've given this glue a little bit of time to set. Helps it bond a little better. So here's the moment of truth. We hope everything fits and we hadn't got glue in the wrong spots. I got a little bit here, but that's going to clean up. And there you go. Our last step is to put it on the bracket that the customer supplied, and it'll be ready to go.